Hey everyone, welcome back to M&O Coding. In this video, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful tools in programming, that is our conditionals. These are the building blocks of logic in your code, so let's break it down and jump into it. So what are conditionals? Conditionals let your programs make decision. In Python, we use if, elif, and else to tell the computer what to do based on certain conditions. So you're going to jump into your IDE. Again, I like to use VS Code, and we're just going to start off with something simple. So age is our variable age is going to equal to, let's just say 18. So then if we want to do something with a conditional for this, we can say if age is greater than or equal to 18, we want to print you can vote. So let's run this and see what we get. So it prints out you can vote. So it's saying, or it's reading here, that the value of age is 18. So when we jump down into here, we can see that age, if it is greater than or equal to 18, it's going to print this. So what's just going to happen if we say if age is greater than 18? You can see that nothing prints out. What if we wanted something to print out on here? We can write else, semicolon. We can print you cannot vote. And let's try running this again. You cannot vote. So it's saying the age is 18. 18 is not, or it's not greater than 18, so it's going to jump past this code right here, jump into our else, which is saying print this. So if we put that in there, so let's say we want to do this backwards. We want to make or print out you can vote or you cannot vote if we're less than that. So we can jump over here. Let's get rid of that. If age is less than 18, we want to print, whoops, hit some buttons I didn't mean to. We want to print you cannot vote. So let's try running that again. My goodness. All right, let's run that. Syntax error. I hit a button somewhere. There we go. Let's run that again. So it says I can vote because it sees that 18 is greater than or equal to 18, but it's not less than 18. So if we were to put in the it's less than or equal to, we should get both outputs. So you can and cannot vote, which doesn't make sense for, so we're going to clear that off. So we run it again, we see we can vote. So now, or we look at our two examples. So we have these, we have it structured like that. Or we can have the age is greater than or equal to 18 statement, print you can vote. And then we have the else, print you can vote. So the big question right here is which of the two structures should you use? And the answer is going to be your if-else statement. This is going to save you on the characters that you're going to have to type out when you have to adjust logic. It changes the amount of places that you have to change it. Because let's say in a couple months they change the age to vote. It's now you have to be 20. So for the first or second example, you see I just have to change this one value right here, rather than I have to go into here now and type in 20 and change this. So it's a lot easier to maintain and update values and logic statements when you use if-else statement like this rather than two if statements. Now, are there times where two if statements are going to be used? Yes. But for a simple statement like this, you're going to want to use the if-else statement. So what is the other syntax that you can use for if-else statements? So we saw, so we're gonna clear these out. So in the intro, I said we had three. We had if, we had else, and we had elif. Well, what is an elif? An elif is just the combination of an else if. So if our age is now, let's say 16, we can write if age is greater than or equal to 18, print you can vote. And then let's say elif age is greater than or equal to 16, print you can drive. And then else we just are gonna, print you are too young for both. So what this is doing is we're gonna come over here. We're gonna say if our age is greater than or equal to 16, or 18, so 16 greater than or equal to 18, no. So we're gonna skip past this line and jump over to this elif. So this is just an abbreviated for else if. So if this wasn't here, it would have jumped into our else block. But we're jumping into our else if age is going to be greater than or equal to 16. We're going to run this code. Whoops. And then we're going to return because we managed to get in here. If we were under the age of 16, now it's going to say age is not greater than or equal to 16. So we're going to jump into this else block and run this. So another way to think about it is if it's raining, you can grab an umbrella. If it's sunny, you wear sunglasses. Otherwise, you go with the flow. Some common mistakes that I tend to see, especially within Python, is your indentation matters. So what that is saying, if you have, let's just say, if, so we're going to say is birthday, let's say that is true. So then if is birthday with Boolean statements, you can either write it like equals true, or you can leave it with just is birthday. That's just, it's going to say if that's true, it'll run this. If it's false, it's going to jump out of it. So when you're looking for false values, use the quotation mark. We're getting an error right here because we're also saying if it equals true. So if I wanted this to be more of an accurate statement, we can put this in quotation marks. So now it's going to flip the value of birthday. So now it's going to say because this is true, so this is now going to be false after this runs. But we're going to just jump back to is birthday is true. Then we're going to show an example when this is proper. So now we're going to say age equals 17. Now we're going to run this, and then we'll print happy birthday, you turned age. So we'll run this. Where did that go wrong? Happy birthday, you turn blank, and only concatenate string. Okay, so we're just gonna turn this into a string. Oh, come on. There we go. So happy birthday, you turned 17. So now what happens if we remove some of this? So we're gonna take our age here and we're gonna just mess with the indentation. So we'll drop it back there and we'll print happy birthday here. Happy birthday. Then we're going to come back here and say print you are now So what do you think is going to happen if we run that? So before we saw that it'll print this line, then it'll print this, and then it'll print this. So if we run that, so it says we're now 17. But what if it's not our birthday? What's going to happen? So we started at 16, so we'll print the initial. So we're going to print age. Then is birthday is going to be false. So now it's saying 16, it's not our birthday, but now we're 17. why is it saying that it's now 17 when it's not our birthday? And it's clearly from indentation. So if I indent this so it's properly aligned with this if statement and run again, you can see that it still says that I'm 16. So in an if statement, things that are one indent inlet are going to be run in this if statement. Now you may run into things that inside this if statement. So now if age is greater than or equal to 18, we're going to say that we're going to jump up this 1 year, greater than or equal to 18. Now we're going to print, yay, you can vote. Print age, so we get 17. Oop, I forgot to switch this, true. So yeah, you can vote. So what this is doing is, so it's saying that his birthday is true. I'm just gonna get rid of this. So it's gonna print the happy birthday statement. It's going to increment our age into 18. And then if it says, or if it sees here that if age is now greater than or equal to 18, it's going to print this statement. But because this is all inside of this if statement, it'll all run. If this right here is now indented back here, we're gonna get some errors because this if statement is looking for something to run and it's not given. Another common mistake is only the first true condition will run. Now this is only partially true because with conditionals and if statements, you can use ands, ors. So if we can come here, so if our age is less than 18 and age is greater than, I probably gotta do that in there. Age is less than 18 and, sorry, I'm used to writing in Java, and age is greater than or equal to 16, print you are almost able to vote, but you can drive. So if I run this, it sees that I am 18 now, and 18 is less than that, and it's greater than that. But it gets a little funky. So let's just say we're less than or equal to, now what happens? Oops, I put that on the wrong side. Less than or equal to. So it sees that we're less than or equal to 18. We got issues before because that would have only worked for the ages of 16, 17, because 18 is not less than 18. So for this, we need a true value from both sides to run into here. So in that case, you do need two true conditions to run. However, for an example like if age is greater than or equal to 18, or age, here we can just stick with greater than or age equals 18, print you can vote and you can drive. So just throw my semicolon there, and you can see down here I can vote and I can drive. So for an or statement, you only need one true condition to run. So if we were 18, so this would have given us a false, because 18 is not greater than 18, so we would have gotten a false or true. And for or statements, if we have one true, it'll run the if statement. For an and, this had to be true and true. If you had true or and false, it would not have run your print statement. Again, another common mistake. You saw I nearly forgot the semicolon here. It is very important for your syntax. Your code will give you errors if you do not include your semicolons at the end of your logical statements. So we're going to jump into a quick challenge before we end off today's video. And we're going to write a Python program that just checks your grade and prints whether you passed or failed or you got an A. So we're going to write grade, and we're going to use just integers. So let's just say we got an 80%. So when I was in school, my A's were 93 or greater. B's were, I think, about 80. Let's just say A's were 90, B's are there, C's are 70s or greater, D's are gonna, you guessed it, 60 or greater. And finally, if you failed, it means you were 60 or 59 or less. So when attacking a problem, you want to understand the question first. So we want to print out our grade, our letter grade that we got with our grade that we received. So we want this to print out that we got a B and pass the class. So we're going to start at the very top. So if we want it to print A, so if our grade is greater than or equal to 90, we want to print you received an A. Congratulations. Your final score is, and the reason I have to write this str right here is when you concatenate in strings, it will not concatenate if it is not a string value. So this is just turning our 80 into a string. We could do the other way around where we want to turn a string into an int, but you have to worry or be careful with that because you cannot turn a character or something that is not an integer into an integer. You'll get some errors there, but it is always safe to turn an integer into a string. So we put in our grade here, and so now if we got a 90 or above, we will get this method. But we have an 80 right now, so how would we get there? We're going to use an elif statement, an else if our grade is greater than or equal to 80. We don't have to worry about upper or lower bounds on this because we already checked if it was 90 or greater. So if it's not 90 or greater, then we can safely just check if it's 80 or greater. This is almost the same as just writing if it's between 80 and 90. So we got that, so we can print, or let's make this even easier on ourselves. So let's just print to begin with. You received N here, and then we can do that, and then we're going to just stick this on a new line, or we can actually just run this at the very end. So we're going to just take that out, so we can just write B. We're just going to jump down here and hit paste there. We're going to throw this in a print statement. Perfect. And then elif our grade is greater than or equal to 70. We're going to print C. Elif our grade is greater than or equal to 60. We're going to print D. And then finally, we can just write else, because we've already checked if it's not an A, it's not a B, it's not a C, and it's not a D, then it has to be an F. So then we can just write else, print D. What we could also do is assign a variable here, and we can write letter grade, and we can just start that. And then we can say letter grade equals A. I'm just going to take this and copy paste this down the line so I don't just have to keep typing it out. Oops. Wrong line. Boom, boom, boom. So F, D, C, B. And then we can write this all in one. So print. You received a yeah, we can do that. Letter grade in this class. So if we have an 80, we're expecting us to get a B. So let's run this and see what we get. So we got an error here. So it's saying letter grade is not defined because I did not give it an initial value. So we can just initially start this with just an empty string. So the computer saves its memory in its storage, but it does not give it a value quite yet. We only want to give it a value after it makes it through these statements. So if we run this again, you received a B in this class. So we got an 80. Perfect. So what if we got, let's say, a 48? Let's see what happens now. You received an F in this class. Now let's say we received 105 because we're just great students. Which for me was always true. There was no A pluses. We received an A in the class. Then let's say we got a 68. I received a D because it doesn't pass this equality. It doesn't pass this one. Not quite this one, but it passes this one. So then it assigns here. So I hope this all helped. And if that helped make conditionals clearer, give this video a like and subscribe for more Python basics. Next, we're going to be talking about loops and the magic behind repetition in code. So I'll see you guys then.